Hi, I'm Fiona,
I'm Nuha.
and we're both grade 10 students from MacDonald High School who have a very big passion for volunteering. Do you want to say a little bit what we do?
We started volunteering at a food organization, Moisson Montréal, and we helped package foods there and really just got to work with the community and experience volunteering.
Yeah, it was a really great experience, and we learned a lot. But both of us have had a passion for volunteering since we were younger. So for Nuha, it's been more recent, but for me, I've been volunteering since I was 10 or 9 years old at the local food drive, and it's something I've always found myself enjoying a lot. So it's something we both, like I said, are very passionate about, and we hope that more youth get to see how great volunteering is just because of what it does for you, right? And so if you want to explain some of the things.
I started, the first time I ever volunteered was 2 years ago at the Pancourt Food Drive, and I was really curious about volunteering because I had never done it before, so I just decided to try it. And when I went for the first time, I found that I felt not only really good about myself, but I found that I made an impact on the community, and I feel like I had done something with my potential, because as a kid I never really did that much stuff with my free time. I was never really that interested in sports or any activities, so volunteering was a way for me to do something with my time, but also do something that's not only beneficial for me, but for the community as well.
And that's exactly it, and that's one of the things I love about volunteering so much is that it's taking time for yourself. You're taking that break, but it's a beneficial break. Instead of scrolling on your phone or doing something, you're actually having an impact on the community you live in. And that's what we've seen with the things that we've done, especially with projects that we do in school, but also with when we go to organizations and help out there, there's always an impact. And that's why no matter how big or small, it's really important that youth and just everyone get into volunteering. So.
Even if you're not that interested, if you try once, it's just best to just try once because there's no harm in trying. It's a win-win situation. Even if you didn't enjoy it, you still had, an impact, a positive impact on the community. And even if you did enjoy it, that's another bonus. That's something for you. I also see volunteering as a form of self-care. So it's also something to cleanse your mind. And when you're working with other volunteers, you're all on the same level, working towards the same goal. So it's really just a calm zone of no judgment, and you're just all trying to better your community.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And one of the things that I love the most about volunteering is the connection you make. Whether that be with the people you're helping or the people you're working with, there's a connection that's made. And I feel like it's made so much easier than with other people. You're connected automatically. You know, these people have a good sense of themselves and what they're doing is amazing. And so you already have a common ground with someone, and just getting to know each other through helping people is an amazing experience. And that's one of the reasons that I really, really love volunteering. And I'm just so glad we get to incorporate it into so many aspects of our life. We do so many projects at school that have an impact on the community, but also on ourselves, right? So each day when we do a leadership project or we're planning something that seems small, it's having an impact on all of our school. So the impact is always there. No matter if it's a big or small volunteering job, you're still gonna have an impact, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm. As youth, it can be a little bit challenging to get into volunteering, especially with different organizations throughout the West Island and in the community. So I did find that aspect a little bit challenging, especially considering my age. I am a minor, but through Volunteer West Island, they have been very helpful with helping me find different places to volunteer at where I can give my time and just have an impact on the community and actually do what I want to do and help me gear into my interests in volunteering and just do what the volunteering that I have an interest in.
Yeah, and that's the thing is there's always someone who needs help. There's always something that you can do, and there's nothing ever stopping you from volunteering. It's just simply asking, and sometimes people are afraid to ask, and that's why offering your help is always the best thing that you can do. But I'm so glad there are organizations like Volunteer West Island that make that so much easier. They already have the contacts and everything that you need. And they make immersive challenges for youth, which is amazing. And they're always trying to focus on how young people in the community can help. And that's how you build habits. If we started at a young age, then people can be volunteering for a while. I know so many people that started volunteering and continue to do it today when they were in high school and everything. And so that's why it's so important. Even young kids, like I said, I started when I was about 10 years old. Even if you're not strong enough to lift a bunch of boxes or you feel like you can't help out, you just sorting food or doing whatever, it has an impact. And that's really important. And I think volunteering really helps you understand the impact you have through volunteering, but also just as a human in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as a volunteer, you're just one small piece of the puzzle. You are one part of that contribution to making that larger impact. You're just one little speck of sand in like on the beach. So if we all as youth, if we all volunteer together and just sorted out some of our time, because that is another difficulty. Most youth have like busy lifestyles with school, sports, activities, like extracurriculars, but I believe that if we all sorted out a little bit of time to just volunteer and do a selfless act of benefiting the community, then we can all together like have a larger impact on the community than just doing nothing or doing something by ourselves.
Exactly. There's always something that you can do to help, and whether that's in your school or in your community, the smallest things have an impact. And that's really what we want to say today, is that it's so easy to volunteer, and that's why we think that all youth should at least try it once in their lifetime.
Yeah, my best advice, or our best advice, is to just try it, and you'll never know where volunteering can take you next.